Alright. Yo ho ho! It's been a while. You already know what it is. Nanatsu no Taizai. The latest chapter came out as of recent. You guys already know the circumstance. I haven't been feeling the recent chapter, so I can't bring you fake and unauthentic content. But as of the past 5 to 4 chapters, we've been getting some, not necessarily interesting, but some different, intriguing would probably be the word. So interesting is okay. But like, I'm just so curious to see what the fuck is really going on that I can't necessarily give a quality rating to the recent chapters. Now, I can say that I don't like it and I feel very uncomfortable, and that like if the story continues in this path, that I'll continue to lose more interest. But for now, I want to see what the bigger picture that Nakama's trying to get at. So in order to do that, we're going to be doing a read through of 335 all the way to the current chapter, just so that I myself can get a better picture of what's going on seriously, as well as like, so that I can like, because this is like, this is just weird. But let's get into it, and then let's see what we can come out with. So we're starting on chapter 335 on page 8. I'm using the website Manga C if you guys would like to adhere to that translation. But that's where it seems that all this started to unravel. Alright, so we get Merlin. She says, come to think about it, what's Merlin's goal? You never really talked about yourself that much. You worked with the captain before forming the 7 Deadly Sins too, right? They actually knew each other for longer than that, says Gauther. Bon laughs. I mean, I don't think that she would work this hard for 3,000 years for nothing. Hey, Merlin. I'm sure you have a wish of your own too, right? Says Diane. Is it some kind of special experiment? You want more test subjects? Come on, tell us. Anything will help you for sure. And then we get that devious little smile and smirk. Very well. You all deserve to know. And to watch. Alright. She teleports them. Since we're all comrades of fate. Bon, everyone. So they get transported to the Boar's Hat. And then the dialogue says, wait, this place is... Yes. This is where we fought the Demon King. Look at what's in front of Hawk Mama. It's the magical lake. Let's get started, says Merlin. What exactly are you going to start? Asks Meliodas. See how everyone, including us, is supposed to have this questioning of what's occurring. We've already gotten context that Arthur is her main goal, but this is obviously going towards it. Let's see what undertones were hidden in this that we didn't see when we first read through it. Alright, so then she does some spell thingy. Alright, to pull out Arthur's body. Kath awakens. Arthur's awakening? Does she mean reviving him? I have no idea. But what's that sound? You can say... How can you be so late to come back for me? That's Sir Hulk for you. Alright, so Hulk... Let's get past this Hulk part here. Alright. So we're seeing the lake. Alright. Okay, here's the first context of weirdness. So, Merlin speaking says, the preparations are all set. Princess, are you ready? Princess, who was Merlin talking to? I don't know. Obviously, the Lady of the Lake is who he was referring to. Has the time finally come to meet our master? Arthur, I was mistaken. This sword isn't the one that would kill you. It's the key to advancing the new age. So remember that this is supposed to be a whole viewpoint thing, a whole perspective thing. That from Merlin's perspective, or for her forward-thinking mentality, as it were, she's trying to get this to be the case. She's seen both sides of chaos and good and evil, and she thinks that chaos is what's needed to return. Apparently. We're obviously going to go back over that explanation. But this is the first sign of her having a different perspective than what the others might have. It's the key to advancing the new age. Now, accept this key and unlock the magical lake. Alright, something turned and something unlocked. And something like started flushing through Arthur tremendously. Alright. And now Arthur's moving. Look, he's standing up. Amazing. Arthur's really back, with a concerned Meliodas face. I'm levitating over water? Merlin says, the human race is the most polarizing of all races, harboring qualities of good and light, yet evil and darkness. That incognis meld is the very essence of chaos. Okay, so she's saying human beings are chaos, very down deep. If the daughter of chaos wills a man to be chosen, then that man will become the ruler of chaos. So then, is Merlin implying that she is confirmed the daughter of chaos? Remember, we don't it's of the recent chapters where we found out that there's some divinity affiliation with the Demon King and the Supreme Deity. Previously, it was confirmed through all the translations that we had and read, and maybe in the volumes it may be different because volumes are all different somehow. But we were told that the Demon King conquered the demon realm, not that he created it or made it. So it's weird that this is being revealed as this right now. And obviously, as I said, if you have the volumes, your translation may read differently than the scanlations that we've had all across these different sites. It's just weird that these people would translate it so differently than what it is. Is the language just so hard to comprehend? But regardless of that, Elizabeth says, Arthur's acting weird. Merlin, what did you do to King Arthur? I already told you. My goal is to awake Arthur. But as the king of chaos. Now, the beginning of the next chapter, he has his devious look with a single eyebrow up. And at the end of the previous chapter, he has one of his eyes that's blackened. And the king of chaos. And he's in pain. So we're definitely supposed to be getting some negative connotation to whatever he got. My body. What happened to it? Do not be afraid. Embrace it, Arthur. It is time for you to awaken to immeasurable magic, to the immeasurable magic concealed within you. Merlin, what are you talking about? It hurts. Help me. And then he screams in throbbing pain. Meliodas, Arthur sounds acting strange. Mom, what the heck's the matter? When the king awakens, he will release the seal on chaos. Chaos will return home to the king. Encrypted enough, but this seems like it's a power or an awakening of a power. Or this is the complete awakening of a power. Maybe this is just his screaming is a result of that. That's where it seems like we're supposed to be taking from it, at least. Now, we see that when Meliodas tries to interfere, the last thing that Arthur remembers is his last moments with Meliodas when he had seceded and disbanded the seven deadly sins to take refuge with the demons and lead them so that they could bring down the demon king and save Elizabeth indefinitely. This is what he's remembering. It's a fucking badass, like, little memory panel right there. Amazing. Meliodas of the Demon Clan. I will never let the demons have their way with Britannia. So we do still see the original, like, will of Arthur. He is in pain. But that is interesting too. We'll probably get to it to see if we can revise his next statement. But it doesn't necessarily seem like Arthur's will is being completely eroded. Completely. Obviously, in this very chapter, or in the current chapter, Meliodas is complaining to Merlin about that very fact. That what about Arthur's will and all these decisions that she's making? But I want to see how much of the original Arthur is still in here, or at least how much we can identify. But this seems like a sentiment that's Arthur original. Not to mention with the flashback that we just talked about connecting. I think it's safe to say that this is a piece of Arthur that's reacting like this to Meliodas. Everything goes black. And this is where the whole chaotic craziness of the drawing starts to happen. This whole reality bending stuff that Arthur has, it's completely, like, incongruent with the rest of the series. Like, nothing's really doing this, like, at all. Maybe little instances of, like, Chandra's power could be resembled as this, but, like, maybe teleportation magic has some similarities to this or branches off from it. Those are all, like we said, powers or abilities that we would call reality bending. Like, they would be considered magic or extras or supernatural, whatever it may be. I know a lot of times we think about Dragon Ball Z with the whole, like, instantaneous transmission or whatever, those techniques like that, but it's not necessarily represented as magic in that series. Here, everything's represented as magic. So, I don't know, I just find it peculiar that this form of magic isn't similar to almost any other type of magic. And it's really crazy or rare, the ones that could possibly be similar to it. And like I said, I don't mean to say derived from it. Like, those techniques don't come from those other techniques, but they may be affiliated together. 1 second. But with that being established, this is one of the things that I wanted to, like, withhold judgment on for a little while at least, until I get the entire context of this review. Because obviously, like I said, I think this is stupid what's going on here. This is extremely overpowered, but it should be controlled to an extent. In order for the series to continue onward, it should be controlled to an extent. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. Because we were supposed to end, what is it, like 30 chapters ago? No, we were supposed to end like 10 chapters from 30 chapters ago. And that isn't the case. So, long live the 7 deadly sins, but let's see if this is going to be trash. Alright, so get some more reality bending. Some crazed reality bending. Gowther, weirdly enough, seems to be very, very calm here. And that's somewhat unsettling. He does, though, mention that this is not a hallucination, this is reality. And it does look a little bit flustered, but just the, I'm not sure. Because now the other guys are handling it, looks like they're handling it pretty well too. But they're definitely just using their combat tactics and abilities to avoid harm. I don't feel like they're necessarily, like, calm in this chaotic state, which I think Gowther was the calmest out of everyone so far that I've seen. Alright, so with Meliodas taking a hit, we get these black quotes. We met by the guiding hand of a momentous destiny. So what matters isn't what others think of you, but what you think of others. We met by the guiding hand of a momentous destiny. So what matters isn't what others think of you, but what you think of others. That's so cryptic. That voice. Arthur, is that you? Sir Meliodas, I looked up to you. So why? Listen to me, Arthur. Meliodas did not betray you. That is a fact. Calm down. Don't let your powers consume you. Come now. It's all right. And then you get the beautiful spread of Merlin and Arthur, and him returning, losing that whole thing in his eyes. So that's exactly what it is. Arthur is still there. Or we have successfully identified a piece of Arthur, and that's confirmed to be that. The reason why is because of its strong affiliation with the memories of Meliodas' perceived betrayal. But now that she can affirm that, no, the person that you trusted is who you trusted, and the events are, and reality is that's how it is now because he is a trustworthy person, then he's able to calm down. And that makes sense. But let's see where we're going to start to unravel. So Meliodas says, I think that was Arthur's magic. The Meliodas you met back then is not the true Meliodas. But he betrayed everyone. You misunderstand. As proof of that, Elizabeth and the 7 deadly sins are all here with you. Yep. Right there. Besides Escanor. Arthur Pendragon. That was a mistake of a lifetime. I don't know how I can ever apologize for my error. I'm sorry. To be honest, my head's still a mess. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm the one who should be apologizing. With this dialogue right here, it seems like I low-key I feel like he was in control of all that chaos that just happened. Like he was doing that on purpose. Like that was his form of attacking. And if that is, it not only looks super crazily and weird, like that's why I don't like it, but like they were able to like quite easily avoid damage or avoid harm. So maybe it's just him being new to the power. Maybe like for sure, if this is an evolution type thing, when he gets a lot stronger, it'll be crazy, like incomprehensibly crazy. Like as I mentioned before, incongruent to anything else in the series, even to the deities. I know it was mentioned that this thing is supposed to be way stronger than that, but it's not about the mass of power. It's about the structure of it, the structure of the detail, the structure of the intricacies, like the descriptions. This guy can make a big fireball and a smaller fireball, but you can like make the world around him into something else. It's not the same. It's not the same. Let's see how this evolves though, because as I mentioned, it wasn't as lethal as the craziness and confusion makes it seem. I'm just so happy to see you again. No, Sir Meliodas, you didn't do anything. Yeah, me too. Anyways, there's something I want to ask you, Meliodas says. Merlin, what did you do to Arthur? What do you mean by chaos? So here we go with the description. Chaos is an impure and pure entity of darkness that even the demons fear and light that even the goddesses worship. Its power is immense, and it is believed that with a single intention, it brought about this world and all the races from nothingness. So this is the progenitor, as was mentioned. And it's a unification of pure darkness and pure light, which is crazy. The worst thing possible, the worst things possible, aligned with the most admirable things possible. Let's see. Including the demon lord and the supreme deity. Therefore, the wise men of antiquity called it the mother of chaos. Arthur, you command chaos and are the king who will lead Britannia into a new world. But what does that mean? With Meliodas in the background too, and all the 7 deadly sins and Escanor gone, we get this big ass spread. Now, as we mentioned before, we were talking about, for years we've been talking about the possibility of part 2. This panel looks part 2 symbolic. I don't know the proper word to say it, but it seems like it's symbolizing part 2. Especially with Meliodas in the background faded out with less definition, in contrast to Arthur in the foreground with all the definition. That in particular is what I'm staring at, and that in particular is what seems to be it's what seems to be the message. Meliodas reacts. Why would you not awaken a power that's both a blessing, or why would you awaken a power that's both a blessing and a curse? What are you plotting? Is this your wish? She smirks and says, my wish. And this is when the Lady of the Lake steps in. Allow me to answer on Merlin's behalf. I will tell you of the wish made by a single lonely witch who wandered the land in search of chaos. The chapter titled Merlin. This could get Alright, so right now, just update you guys. We're at the top of chapter 337 on the cover page. I'm gonna take a quick smoke puff while we recollect the past 2 chapters and put into perspective how we should see this information reveal of Merlin. Because for a long time, including myself and the majority of the members on the Boar podcast, we've been not necessarily slandering, but definitely investigating and scrutinizing, would probably be the best word to use, the development and just the character that is Merlin. From saying that she's an asspool, from saying that like this or that, she's insufficient, she's not developed enough, she doesn't do anything, she's a trump card always, similar to the complaints that we have for Escanor. So I think I have a problem with the fact that this is so big. Like, this is so big. And we didn't get hints along the storyline to give us a feel that this is what you were scheming towards. Like, we didn't, like, your only thing was the attachment to Arthur. Maybe I should turn back and say that because we got introduced with Arthur, that it's clear that she was going to be completely attached to him. We know that because of their lore base, for sure. But to the extent of this, I don't know if this is just out the ass, because we know things came out the ass. We know that. So it's an instance of the author having extremely sparse and insufficient connections along the storyline to link this eventuality, to make sense of this eventuality, or is this an instance of this is an ass pool? Like, you're just putting this in because it got shitty at a certain point at the end of the story, and then it was so popular that you couldn't end it where you wanted to end it, so you had to start making stuff up, and then the stuff that you made up is trash. So now, like, you're trying to get out of this rut to make part 2 or whatever, and this shit's gonna be fucking trash, but you have the pieces to do what you got to, and you can be creative and do all kinds of different shit, so you can do it, but it just may be a little bit sloppy in certain parts. To be honest, I haven't really seen that much sloppiness in this current recollection so far, but it's still something to be troubled about. So let's begin on this chapter 37. Look at what Merlin is. As for why Merlin wanted chaos, I will answer in her place. Just who are you? Show yourself. This smells fishy. Pardon me this one thing, for I cannot part from this lake. I was wrought from chaos. The ancients called me Lady of the Lake, or the Saint of Chaos. Lady of the Lake. Where have I heard that name before? You're the one who gave me the holy sword. Or you're the one who gave the holy sword to King Carfin. Okay. Sorry, but I've been around for 3,000 years, and I've never once heard about any being of chaos, let alone from Merlin. Exactly as we previously proclaimed, that it doesn't seem like this was led up to at all. And here's the justification. Of course you haven't. That's because for the past 3,000 years, she's hidden it from you and everyone else. Merlin kept that from us? Why in the world? What are you talking about? When I was first reading this, I felt like this had like weight because of like, not only because it's like Meliodas like questioning his friend, or the captain questioning one of his like knights, but the Demon King questioning another like basically like huge ass force. Like regardless of what anybody wants to think, if you were to like consider like the largest like the leaders or the largest forces in Britannia ever in the storyline, the Demon King will be one, Supreme Deity will be one, the Fairy King, all the leaders, the original clan leaders. So if a clan leader is doing something and somebody's questioning it, it's a significant event. It's almost similar to like the Reverie or those like the Kage Summit and Naruto or other animes like that. So right now, it's just technically one leader questioning a person who's pretty much can be considered a leader. Like, the one person who's been the advocate for humans this entire time is Merlin. She's been on the side of the lead human. No, Bond can be considered that as well, but everybody else is not necessarily human. They all hold a flag for a different race. And she's been behind the human side this entire time. As was correlated when they first mentioned, when it was first described in the beginning of 35, that chaos itself, that the characteristics of chaos itself and humans seem to have a lot of similarities. And she's trying to like exemplify that. But let's continue. Let me tell you a story of long ago. Long ago, here in Britannia, there existed a capital, blessed with prosperity, that sided with neither the demons nor the goddesses. The name of that capital, where the superior wise men of humanity lived, was Betrayal. There, under the pretext of researching the ultimate magic, but really to serve as weapons against the higher-ranking demons and goddesses, human children who possess an aptitude for magic were experimented on as test subjects. Among them, a child was born with the strongest and unique magic, Merlin. From birth, she was a prodigy, with a talent and wit that far surpassed the wise men of the capital. But inside, she was nothing more than a child, hungering for the love of a parent. However, all that the leader of the wise men, her father, gave her was a mountain of reading material and tests to perform. Sick of it all, she up and ran away one day. Crying, she walked on and on with no destination in mind. Her heart was exhausted. Her tears dried up. Still, she evaded her pursuers and fled. But eventually, they caught up to her. Her days that felt like prison were upon her again. Or so she thought. Then a boy saved her. That boy was Meliodas of the demon race. The captain saved Merlin? Nice going. I had no idea you had such a terrible past. It was a long time ago. When he gently put out his hand, her heart was filled with a love she had never gotten from anyone else. Every time she saw Meliodas, that feeling deepened, and with time, transformed into something special. Wait, so Merlin had feelings for the captain? No way. No matter how much time passed, Meliodas never developed romantic feelings for her. Merlin worried and thought, and then decided. She abandoned her form as a little girl and resurrected herself in the image of an adult woman. Damn, bruh, she looked bad, bruh. Yo, all hate for ties aside, Merlin. Woo! In order to keep her body like that, she stopped the time that coursed through her. All so that she could win over Meliodas' heart. She stopped time for that nigga, bro. Talk about the feels, bro. But that hope was never realized, and he was stolen by another. Elizabeth of the Goddess clan. Shock, sadness, anger, jealousy. Young Merlin was assailed by the dizzying maelstrom of feelings. But she could not bring herself to hate the two of them. She returned to Berlin on her own and attempted to fill the gaping hole that opened in her heart by gobbling up scripts, applying herself to magic training, and greedily devouring all the knowledge of the world. Damn. So it's their relationship that pushed her to her gluttonous self. That's why she's the sin of gluttony. Wow, we got it. There it is. There it is. Because Meliodas chose Elizabeth over Merlin. She turned to gluttonous actions. And they're still devouring her today. An addiction. That's literally how it can be translated to. An addiction. And she's still abusing of it. And it's pushed her to this extreme. To this extreme. So I don't know how we're supposed to just like we translated her going into becoming gluttony or whatever because of this. Into like that. Like that's an addiction. She didn't get that relationship. So she was so traumatized and depressed that she started going on to bad habits. And that's what one of these bad habits is. Even though it can be coded as a good thing, anything can be bad if done in excess or too much or abused. Anything can be a drug. So it seems like awkwardly enough, this knowledge is going to be that. It's going to be her drug that she's been abusing to this day. So the question is, are we supposed to see the final result of this entire storyline from Merlin? For her bringing back Arthur and having him do all this as her spiraling out in addiction? Is that the translation? But it seems like it's supposed to be a good end. And like I said before, there could also be hints of what I mentioned as in this is just all added new to get into the new part. So take what you will, but I definitely think that from what we've just been told, Merlin was so sad and depressed from Meliodas' choosing Elizabeth that instead of hating them, she chose a habit or an addiction or abuse something else so that she wouldn't do that. And it's still affecting her till this day. But her heart still hungered, and she spent her days troubled. Then one day, she heard the wise men gossiping and learned of a certain being, Chaos. The drive of power that was born amidst ancient stars far, far away. It looks like a being. I don't know what that's supposed to be. The drive of power that was born amidst ancient stars far, far away. It is said that Chaos first created the world. It bore the supreme deity, the demon lord, and the sacred tree as its third offspring. So the third child is the tree. I'm not necessarily sure if the deity was first and Demon King second, but that's the order it was said. It bore the supreme deity and the demon lord, and the sacred tree as its third offspring. So is this saying that the Demon King is the younger brother of the Supreme Deity? Finally, the Supreme Deity created the celestial realm and goddesses in the goddess race. The Demon Lord created the demon world and the demons. And the sacred tree created the fairy realm and its fairy folk. After that, Chaos created the fourth race, the giants. But they were a savage race, slaves to their power and knowing nothing other than inflicting pain on each other so that Chaos was disappointed with them. That's when Chaos created humans. Kindness and cruelty, bravery and cowardice, love and loathing, beauty and beastliness. Everything went into them. Though incomplete, they were the perfect race that came closest to Chaos. In light of such a perfect work, the two gods were filled with jealousy and apprehension. They feared that the love and respect their own created races devoted to them would be stolen by their creator Chaos. So the Supreme Deity and Demon Lord worked together to seal Chaos away. See, that's the part I don't get. Like, what the fuck? So they got jealous of this, like, good-ass job that he just made, that Chaos made. But why? This is the part that doesn't correlate. Like, they fear that the love and respect their own created races devoted to them would be stolen by their creator Chaos. How? How? He's just making more things. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I don't get it. Upon hearing that Merlin spent the next 3,000 years structuring her life around the aim of resurrecting Chaos, she believed that if she could revive Chaos, give rise to a virtually limitless unknown, then her starving heart would most certainly be filled. Wow. She was after the biggest drug, the biggest addiction, the biggest satisfaction. Because of gluttony. This is literally telling us that Meliodas and Elizabeth's relationship drove her to these gluttonous actions of extreme knowledge. And in her path and journey of extreme knowledge, she encountered these truths. And now she's aligned these truths for her own personal gain, as confirmed right here. So she can fulfill her gluttonous abuse, gluttonous fucking desires. But a number of conditions had to be met for the resurrection to work. Defeating the Demon Lord was one of them. Therefore, Merlin used the 7 deadly sins, but she was only evening the ledger, as you all use her plenty as well. Oh, wow. Damn, okay. Shut up. I've stayed quiet and listened to this long enough. What do you think you know about us? Sure, there might be tons that I don't know, but Merlin has fought with the 7 deadly sins as a comrade, alongside us. Indeed. It's true that I have not lived with her or even spoken to her. But as for what I do know, I know that it was Merlin who asked the giant craftsman Dabuz to forge the coffin of eternal darkness in order to seal away the Demon Lord and Supreme Deity. Oh, yes. And also, I know that she intentionally delayed the spell to stop time during the first battle in order to resurrect the Demon Lord. And that she reactivated the curse on Elizabeth that Meliodas had once broken. That's right. And that in the final battle against the Demon Lord, she drove your combo move into the lake. That is about all I know. Wow. So check this out. So, is it crazy to say that Merlin's being manipulated? Is it crazy from the context of what I've been reading to say that Merlin's being manipulated? So Merlin's fucking his addiction to knowledge pushed her to learn about these truths about the chaos or whatever. And she started to seek out some shit and wants to revive Arthur now. She has a plan that's on her own. But then she finds Lady of the Lake. And Lady of the Lake also has influence. And Lady of the Lake hasn't ever talked to her, isn't interacting with her, but knows a lot of things about her. And just put out all the different things that she's done, that Merlin's done, and just said them. And then at the end she says, "That's all I know." Isn't this like throwing her under the bus? This is kind of like making a deal with the devil. Like, make a deal with the devil, he helps you out, and then he clearly like just like, you know, blackmails the fuck out of you, and then like intentionally ruins you. Like, regardless of what you do, regardless of the deal, he's there to fuck you. So the deal's meant to fuck you. That last quote, it's a translation for sure, but that last quote makes me feel like the Lady of the Lake is saying like, it doesn't matter, Merlin, you've already gone this far. Like, I can say what I want, because this goal is what I want, and this goal is good, quote unquote. And we're gonna see later on whether we can truly determine what this goal is like. But right now, what the fuck is going on here? I feel like Merlin's being manipulated. Stop talking nonsense. That can't be true. Merlin, stop standing there quietly and say something for yourself. To revive chaos, it wasn't enough to seal away the supreme deity and demon lord. One or the other had to be completely destroyed in order to disrupt the balance. Then you knew the captain's body would be taken over, and let him revive that way. And one more condition. For the key to reawaken Arthur, I needed an explosive magic. Okay, so in order to kill the Demon King, bring him back or whatever so she can kill him, she had to let him come back and take Meliodas' body. The only way she could. Alright. So one of her friends, she basically like helped I don't know if they like we could it's too far to say because I don't think there's reason to believe that she knew that 10 Commandments would revive the Demon King. But it looks like that's what she's saying right now. For the key to reawaken Arthur, I needed an explosive magic. Damn, no, yeah. That's exactly what Bond just fucking said. Then you knew the captain's body would be taken over. And let him revive that way? And one more condition. For the key to reawaken Arthur, I needed an explosive magic. But either way, if I hadn't directed the magic into the lake, Britannia would have been destroyed. Then all that the Lady of the Lake is saying is, Merlin, look me in the eye and answer me. Did you really try to kill Elizabeth? That's the part that the nigga's focused on. Did you try to kill Elizabeth? Meliodas, your objective was one thing only, to break the curse on Sissy. But if you'd done that, you might have abandoned the mission to defeat the Demon Lord. And I couldn't have that. Damn. Again, as we said. Again. Strike 5, because of the 4 panels that we saw, the 4 little text boxes. Strike 5. No, 6. Strike 6, because he also knew that Demon King would be coming back through the commandments. You're lying, right? So that's why you reactivated the curse. But I'm also the one who saved Sissy. She's getting hyped up and riled up too. Then, when you assembled the 7 deadly sins, was that also all to carry out your goal? Yeah, that's what they said. I thought you were our friend. I don't get you. It should be no mystery. Hating someone so much that you want to kill them, but still being able to love them, that's what humans do. Yep, that's the chaos. In the end, I wonder if you and Merlin, being different races, will ever truly be able to understand one another. Wow. And there it is. One of the deepest things ever said in 7 Deadly Sins. In the end, I wonder if you and Merlin, being different races, will ever truly be able to understand one another. I'd say yes. I'd say yes. But there's a lot more to it. And that was actually a pretty good chapter right there. If that's what we're supposed to be taking from it. And the finality in the next chapter. Merlin, everything that Lake said was true. And does that mean that you manipulated 7 deadly sins into reviving chaos? To revive a possible monster? No. A being that might not even exist to begin with? Chaos exists. With more vigor now, is being said. In fact, you've come face to face with it for a long time now. This is the whole reveal about Hulk being chaos. Chaos is a will. Therefore, it does not manifest itself in a physical form. What the two gods thought to have sealed away was not truly chaos. It's within you, Arthur. From the very moment you opened your eyes as the king of chaos. Me? That whole pig is inside of me now? No. It would be more accurate to say that chaos is within you. Meliodas is very upset with this. That strange magic that Arthur unconsciously used. Merlin, turn Arthur back to normal immediately. That is impossible. Chaos has chosen and willed to coexist within Arthur. This is proof that Arthur is truly the king of chaos. And what about Arthur's will? You can blame me for all you want. Wow. I think you should kill Merlin. Yeah, that's the last thing she said. You can blame me for all you want. Man. Yeah, no, this is, yeah, no. Kill Merlin. Kill Merlin. The 7 deadly sins are the heroes that I look up to. There is absolutely no reason for them to fight over a child like me. Bro, why did... This is the thing I noticed too when I first read this chapter. A chick just popped out of the ground, or the ground just turned into a chick, and I was chirping around. I'm wondering what the fuck that is. Or Arthur. Probably what it is. When I was a child, I dreamed of being a man who could protect people. But no matter how hard one tries to protect, saving everyone is impossible. Of course, it's impossible. That very thought made me give up. And my mind was gradually filled with despair. Captain, this is just like before. This is bad. That's when I met Merlin. She paved the way for me. And become a king who makes the impossible possible. Make a world where you can keep those that you cherish. Her words changed my way of seeing things. Through Merlin's help, I've learned a lot. So I promised to become a great king. That panel of the creations that he has in the back. Arthur, you've woken up at last. I'm so glad. This is the part that was crazy when I first read it. Kath, from the Druid's training cave. Merlin, don't let that thing get close to Arthur. And Meliodas saves Arthur, but there's a little hit right there. And then he takes his arm. And now Kath is transforming into this monster there. This is nowhere near as bad as what I thought it was. This is actually really, really good. If she's trying to make Hold on. Oh shit. Hold on. Damn, I don't even have my headphones on, and I think Zar's in the voice chat. Are you in the voice chat, bro? Yeah, he is. Yeah, hold on. Go ahead and talk, bro. Let me put my headphones on. Yo, what's up, dog? Shit, man. Hey, bro, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Make that money. So, have you put into context the past 5 chapters? So is Merlin like evil, or is like, or is like, or are these people manipulating Merlin? Mhm. Man, this is. How do you feel about Arthur's power? Yeah, I'm definitely like confused. I was mentioning though, like as I read through it again, that I was mentioning though that as I read through it again, the one big thing that like I noticed was that nobody really got harmed by it, and it seemed like Arthur was actually trying to attack them. No, no, I think he was actually like trying to attack them. I purposely did that. Yeah, Yeah, yeah. So I'm saying, like, if for that second instance or whatever, he was being serious for a little bit, and like the reason why nobody really got hurt is, first of all, everybody's like crazy high level right now, so it makes sense. But like, so maybe like, maybe Gil Thunder would have died or some shit like that, or maybe like Drape or something like that would have died from this. But all I'm saying is that as crazy and as weird as like his powers are right now, and as like unappealing visually, I think they're somewhat like destructive wise, they're tame. Like, they obviously have great potential to be like crazy later on. Like it'll be some like Chandler type shit where like you're throwing a sword slash at Arthur, and then like all of a sudden there's a fucking banana coming at you up your ass or some shit like that. Like that type of chaotic stuff, I could see being an extreme thing, kind of like how Bleach went to at the end, where like people were using their imaginations to fight. It was stupid and like really bad writing. So I hope it doesn't develop to that far extent. But like for now, this like weird chaotic stuff that's very confusing isn't like overly destructive. It just seems hacks.
To warp reality. I mean, don't get me wrong. The two double page spreads were beautiful. Like holy hell! Like I thought Naka was weird. Now he's getting freaky. Dude just fucking dude literally like took off the incognito mode and just went full search on like regular browser. Like he went crazy, bro. That's exactly what he did. And I feel you. Like it's interesting, but at the same time, I feel as though it might take away from the earnestness of Arthur's character because the thing is, Arthur's like any other MC for the most part, and while MCs end up becoming broken like after a while, uh, Arthur in his own verse, while he did become powerful, wasn't broken. Like there are some people who could like come through and like slap him as he was promptly slapped in the minute he thought he was a big kid, right? But it's like now he's got reality warping powers. He literally sent like a hecatoncrease straight at Meliodas. Like not even a giant, right? Bro,
Well,
like
well
okay, there's giants.
previously he just by gaining Excalibur, he was able to combat three high level, or if not the strongest demons in the demon race, just by grabbing a sword. Like that was
First
already a
off,
huge jump.
you say that, but remember, they were literally but like at the end they literally said, "Hey, we were just kind of like, testing out the waters. We weren't really serious." And I remember talking to this with One Above All. And whenever he brings this up, I was like, yeah, that part of the story pissed me off because it literally says that everything that he was doing, it still is not enough to do anything, to do any real serious damage. I get it, he's not like going after their hearts, he's not like he's having like divinity like Elizabeth, so he can't
No,
like
no, but
purify
that's not the
their
point though.
darkness.
The point is that just by having just one of those individuals there, almost everybody else in the verse is having a catastrophic defeat. Like almost literally every single other person, including Escanar, is having to go full power just to defend up against having one of those people there. And like I said before, and like you mentioned, they weren't being serious, obviously. But like, you're telling me you can have Chandler, Cusack, Meliodas, and Zeldris there, all attacking you, and you're not gonna take from their casual attacks. You're not gonna take catastrophic damage. Most niggas would take catastrophic damage.
Fair to say. Fair to say
Yeah,
he was doing pretty well for one human.
yeah. So
But
that's why I think that like just with the Excalibur, how big the jump to Excalibur was perceived at least, and obviously like you're trying to do, we can rationalize it to be a lot less crazy than what I was pointing out. But like with that, just that first jump, now we get this crazier of a jump. Isn't he just like skipping development for Arthur then?
uh yeah, because because out of all the characters you wanted to see, at least for me, out of all the characters, out of all the side characters that like like came and went throughout the story like consistently, the ones that I always wanted to see, Hauser, Jericho, and Arthur. Why? They have interesting personalities, and at the end of the day, bro, like they're mortal. All these immortal characters, all these long-lived characters, for the most part, will survive. There's a good chance that they will survive, but the mortal ones always die. Perfect example: Escanor was not immortal for shit, died just like that, and that right there kind of like made their existence, I don't know, just that much more interesting to watch because they kind of have to go a little bit harder. Granted, this might just be like me being like me with my favoritism, but it's like the minute you go from like Arthur swinging a sword around, like having to like think on his feet for like a battle standpoint, he goes from that to like I'm gonna just throw a Greek monster at you, even though I'm from like the Isles, real quick, and I'm serious. Like that multiple armed monster that you saw go after Meliodas and them, that's exactly what it looks like. A Hecatoncres. It's literally like a giant, but just with like too many arms and legs to really be considered like a a competent creature. It's just kind of fucking itself up and everything else around it. It's exactly what he threw at Meliodas, a goddamn monster from a different pantheon entirely. It's ridiculous. Like, bro, that from being dead for like what, a whole week? It can't be a couple days because like fucking Elizabeth was like about to die until like what, uh, a couple of days like prior or something like that. Escanor had died like not even like that day or so, right?
Yeah.
Right, and realize this too. Timing does matter. It was a month since Meliodas died, and from there it was like what, them marching on to Camelot, and from there Arthur died. And at that point in time, Elizabeth had pretty much gotten her divinity because I believe what, she had already escaped the demons. And that's when she got her divinity. That's when she got cut, and from there 3 days. Fair to say.
Yeah.
So then from there, Arthur's so what? Arthur's been dead for about like a day, like what, 2 or 3 days or so, something around those lines. It's like, bro, you were dead 3 days ago, and the most, and you could, and like with that sword, just with that sword, we're not even talking about his own skills. Like Arthur was an accomplished human character in Taiza. I don't think people understand that. How do you sneak up on over 100 demons of varying levels of strength, right? On your own, right? And ghost all of them, sneak up all of them. Not just that 55 demons left the portal. I killed like twice as many, bro. And he actually did. And 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 this is why I can't stand the episode because it got up to that point, and it's like they tore everything apart. That doesn't that's not Taizai. That's a poor excuse for Taizai. Holy hell! Like bro, like literally, he was like, people tend to forget he was actually out here as like one of like the stronger characters. Like sure, he wasn't the sins and he wasn't the demons, but out of all the humans, yeah, you talk about him, him, Dreyfus, Zartarus, and maybe Gilthunder back when he wasn't a bitch.
So another thing I wanted to talk about was so like we saw Gauther's story, right? How
Mm,
he wanted just a heart and then the truth, and then he ended up like having sex with that girl and killed her in the process, trying to save her.
yeah,
So that was pretty tragic, probably like one of the more tragic ones. And we have Meliodas, who like has been watching his like beloved die over and over and over, and is fated to have her return to him, to die once again, over and over and over. It's pretty fucking crazy. Got fucking Helbram, who fucking like got revived after fucking trying to like his hardest to kill these damn dirty poachers, these damn dirty like murderers who were killing like generations of his people and shit. It was horrible that he got returned back to life to have to fucking fight against his best friend and then get killed by
fair to
his best
say.
friend. Yeah, crazy shit. So like,
Fair to say, crazier shit has happened than like one little kid dying. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
yeah,
I won't even like I won't even cap. There have been some things, but
yeah.
like
No,
low
no, no.
key,
Hold on,
bro.
hold on. Let me finish. But like, I said those things because I want to compare it to
Uh huh.
this final point of development. All those things
Okay,
that
okay.
you mentioned, yeah, those are like keys for those characters. Like those are their backstories. We have it for all the sins. We have kings. We have Meliodas, Elizabeth, Bonds. This was completed and shit like that. Now we have hers, the final one, and I think there's gonna be more to it. But I think it's culminated in the fact that like Merlin committed the grave sin of creating this group of all these people with a purpose. not because she loved them, but with a purpose. That's one.
Yep.
Then were labeled and numbered with her betrayals. She even knew about the resurrection of the Demon King by absorbing the Ten Commandments, and then she pushed for it. She even tried to kill Elizabeth. So let me ask you, Zarso. So the original nigga that I've always talked to.
Huh?
Did Merlin commit the worst sin?
Yes. You just you literally just scratched you really just put it into words right there. At the end of the day, I knew that she was gonna be she was gonna have an interesting curse on her because this is truly a very important part from Merlin as well. I can't even forget about that. Out of all the sins, hers is probably the worst. It starts out tragic, but then you realize it gets perverted right in the middle and towards the end.
Yes.
It gets very perverted. It's like, what did you do? What did you do?
Why did you?
Literally, that's all you can ask her is, what did you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's probably the beauty of her character, is because at the end of the day, that's literally we've all there's always been a point in time where people have literally come into a situation where we see Merlin and it's that's the first thing on people's minds. What did you do? And I gotta say, it works for her, because in this case, I really am wondering, because I remember hearing you say, and you noticed too, that weird light. It looked like a guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was what? Yeah, what is that? What's going on right there? And I don't want to make predictions yet. But it's yeah, like you said, there's there could be more to this, because at the end of the day, we don't know where her story is going. Not even in the slightest. Out of all the characters, I telling you right now, Merlin's just that most ambiguous. You just don't know what's going on.
Yeah, because chaos seems to be being described as the not the how the fuck you say it, the monotheistic.
Oh, my brother just my brother just asked me about the multiple gods version. I know what you're talking about.
There's poly and
polytheistic.
Polytheistic.
So monotheistic.
It seems to be representing the monotheistic concept of God, where there's a single original progenitor and it all comes from him. But then you're told that it comes from the stars, or this thing was made from the stars, and it's not described as a being, but it's in the form of a being. So now I'm this is odd, in the fact that I really feel she's either being manipulated or something's going on here, because she stumbled onto this plan. It was only after she was being depressed by the fact of Elizabeth and Meliodas' relationship that she couldn't have him, but she got over that, or she was dealing with that by going into knowledge and books and shit, and she fell into this, and she found these truths about the fucking chaos and the goals about chaos and bringing it forth. So I'm you gaining this knowledge has forced you to go onto this journey. And till this day, the entire point of you finishing this journey, finishing this truth that you found, is that you're gonna fulfill that gluttony shit, that hole that's in your heart that Meliodas fucking left empty and shit. You're gonna try to fill it with knowledge by going as far as to bring back chaos and shit. I feel either somebody's controlling her, or she's gone too far. It's some type of addict, bro.
Well, that's it. She's gone too far, like you said. Gluttony. That's all you do is you devour and you devour and you devour, and in her sense, they're tying gluttony to her knowledge, which gets really crazy.
Hell
because
yeah.
from there, right? Because from there, it's imagine having a child with their infinite mind. Literally, you can literally turn a kid into a genius with a couple steps. Either that, or they're just really gifted and they came onto something. But children literally just absorb knowledge way too quickly sometimes. And Merlin's is very intelligent for her age. The minute, bro, you're right. She did go too far. The minute she stopped her own time, she went too far. That's when she went too far. The minute she stopped her own time is when she went too far.
Yeah.
This is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That too. Just to what? Just to suit
But
the qualities for a man. What the like?
yeah, but
How old
like,
are you?
but those are like, I don't mean to go to because we're talking about like, okay, all right. So I have to give credit to what you're saying because I guess the entirety of the point was that small things snowballed into big things, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's all the
Yeah.
small minor details that
So
snowball into this.
so I don't really feel like small things like her changing her appearance or like stopping her time like really led into the big snow. Like for example, I think that like you saying that.
You no no no. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me explain why Let me explain why that right there is a is a big deal, right? Realize this. It's a little girl trying to make herself look better for a man. Most girls like put on some makeup or like try to wear like a nicer dress. She literally transformed her body and stopped her aging. Yeah, come on now. Regular little girls would think of different things to do. This chick went that far, just for that. Like that's how you know she's kind of like there's something going on. She's a little twisted. Not in a bad way. I mean, like you can only imagine how like how weird kids get when they got like crazy powers. But she literally just like
Okay,
went
so
and did that.
I guess it reveals her capacity to go into excess. That's what you're saying. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. All right, bet,
Exactly.
bet. And then the other things that she did spiraled her that far into it. Okay, that makes sense. I guess we're getting connected, and it's fair to connect to the point. Yeah, that when she stopped her time and changed her appearance was the first two instances of what was gonna lead to be fucking her overreacting or like her taking her feelings into excess and shit. Bet.
Yeah.
But this is like, I guess we're gonna have to make like a shorter video or something, or make it like a topical video or some shit. Like what is really happening with Merlin? Is it that like is Merlin being manipulated? Like, is this just like an after effect of fucking addiction and shit, or like depression and like habitual use of like a feelings reliever? Because she's still talking about like the gluttony thing. The hole in her heart is in response to Meliodas like not choosing her. That's what they told us. Like he didn't choose her, and that left a hole in her heart. So she chose to fill it with knowledge. And she's been wanting to get knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge. And now
You-
it's got to this point where she's reviving a god.
Okay. So two things. Two things. This reminds me of two different part. Well, first off, I wanted to address that one comment you made earlier. The fact that you said that it seems as though like Naga was introducing like that monotheistic concept of like one singular god, right? And I was talking to my boy a couple of days ago, and he was talking about how like there's like a lot of religions that kind of see like one guy as like the same thing. It's like there's actually like several. And so I was thinking to myself, that's kind of interesting because for a while now, it seemed as though we were like doing some like really pagan stuff with like the first couple of sins and everything. Got the giant clan, the fairy clan. Like Bon was doing some weird immortal stuff. We got like that real pagan stuff going on, and then we thought the goddesses, right? And then we got like some real more like demonic stuff. I thought the goddesses were like supposed to be all Christian, but in reality they're just terrible. But now we're getting like this weird new god that kind of like replaced the old ones, which is exactly what Christianity did when it marches through normally,
Yeah.
right? So I kind of do see that the aspect that is kind of clever. I do like that. Um, my second point. My second point. So this has to do with Merlin. There's just one thing that her the way she like plays around Meliodas and the fact that like she's been fucking with Meliodas and Elizabeth and the fact that like she has her jealousy kind of like towards Elizabeth because she was picked over her by Meliodas. It really does remind me of uh the part in Arthurian legend where it's like Arthur versus like his half sister Morgan Le Fay, because that's kind of where Merlin is kind of, like a lot of her characters based off of, like a conniving treacherous woman that knows magic because Merlin taught her magic. Literally just kind of like changed the name a little bit. It's all Nago really had to do. But it's like the thing is, like normally she'd be pitted up against Arthur and his wife Guinevere, and it seems as though Nakaba picked Meliodas and Elizabeth to be uh like I guess fill those roles because now it's all kind of coming full circle as to like why like what's going on here. And what I'm thinking that might happen, and this might be like a small prediction, but like that chaos, like the weird twisted parts of like humans for the most part, right? Like we might find out that like Merlin's not so different from humans, essentially. From there, like that twistedness inside of her might kind of be chaos trying to revive itself. And like the more twisted you get, that's just kind of how things play out. But who knows? That's just a theory, a fan theory, a very bad one at that.
Shit. I think that was about I think that was about it for now. Like the skepticism on like on Merlin's betrayal, if she committed the worst sin, if she being manipulated, um, the
Oh,
future
no doubt, worse sin.
developments of Arthur's like power. Um, to end it off, I plan to make a separate channel with clips of the podcast. So these different topics that we like dive into deep. You know, we get a bunch of different topics on this video, but the video is long. A lot of times it's difficult to find the exact topics that you want to hear. So hopefully that channel will help you identify certain topics that you like and can bring you to the original full podcast if you want to hear its entirety, how those thoughts developed, and how they finished. So stay tuned for a channel like that for the Boar podcast. In the meantime, you can probably expect to see more Boar podcasts in response to the chapter releases. I can expect that Zarso will be available whenever we can, so you'll probably hear from us too a lot more often. Also, make sure you check out the other stuff that we do on the channel. We do solo leveling as well as One Punch Man. And yeah, what's next time? Yo ho!